Okay, it's actually 5 o'clock and I'm starting, so I'm very happy. I'll straighten this out a little bit. And I am playing music, so let me know later if you can hear it. I never know how loud to play it. I don't want to blast it and then have to shout over it. So if you can hear it, let me know later. So for today, we're going to start seated, but before you set yourself up, you might want to grab a couple props. As usual, blocks. A couple blocks would be helpful, not crucial. If you don't have yoga blocks, go ahead and grab a couple big books, like your old school dictionary or sizable book like that. And if it's kind of big, it's actually good because we're going to be putting our feet on it later. And then you will also want a chair, a sturdy chair, just for one short part of class. So you can use anything, your couch. The couch would be actually more challenging than a regular chair, but you could use it just for like one couple minute part of class that we'll be doing later. And other than that, your usual strap, blanket will, be fine to have around. You might or might not need to use them. So just to start out, come to a comfortable seated position. If possible, sitting cross-legged like this on the floor. I'm sitting on a block. You can sit up on something or sit any other way that is comfortable for you for just a few moments. Today's class, we're going to be looking at one of my favorite poses and exploring it quite a lot. So to preface that, I just wanted to say I have this wonderful yoga teacher named Nikki Costello that I was able to study with a little bit, who says there are 3 poses we should practice a lot in yoga. Sitting, like this, Sukhasana, Tadasana, standing up, and Shavasana, lying down on the floor. Why are those kind of mundane, basic poses so important? Because those are the poses we actually use in our daily lives. So we spend so much time, if you think of how much time you spend either sitting, standing, or lying down in a 24-hour period, you'll see those are the positions your body is in a lot of the time. So we want to be able to do those poses or those positions well, so that we can stay healthy and not get aches and pains and all those other things that come with time. So we want to always go back to those basic poses: sitting, standing, and lying down, or sleeping. So why do we do all those other poses, all those weird poses where you're standing on your head or you're, balancing on your hands, all those other things that we do or we try to work towards doing, because those are so unlike what we do in daily life? Well, we want to counterpose, we want to shift our perspective and break out of what we do in our daily life. But at the same time, we can look at those poses and see how a pose like Tadasana, for example, could play a role in one of those weird poses. Obviously, headstand, you're doing Tadasana upside down. So you need to find the Tadasana within that pose. So we can look at poses in this way. So one of my favorite poses is Utkatasana. So it's usually called chair pose in English. Why is this one of my favorite poses? It's kind of overlooked, even though we do it a lot. If you do Vinyasa flow classes that include Sun Salutation B, or if you took my class last Friday, we did Utkatasana, but it's usually in transition. We just pass through it for like half a breath, and we don't think about it that much or work on it. So that's what we're going to do in this class. But we're gonna do a lot of other stuff too. So it's not gonna be just like holding Utkatasana for an hour, although that would be a very good practice to try. So let's get started right away. Since I talked long enough, you're gonna go ahead and come onto your hands and knees into your tabletop. And if you need something to pad under the knees as usual, go ahead and grab your blanket or cushion or extra yoga mat. That's what I like to use. So we're going to come right away into our tabletop, and right away you can actually find Utkatasana in your tabletop. So I'll talk more about that when we get to Utkatasana itself. But we're thinking of, okay, obviously the knees are bent, we're creasing at the hip, but the spine is long for our neutral spine in our tabletop. And then right away we'll just do a few cow and cat, sort of loosening up the spine, inhaling for cow, exhaling for cat. Inhale and exhale. One more time. Inhale and exhale. And then inhale, come back to your neutral spine in your tabletop. Now, we want to have that neutral spine, so think of the front of your body, which is close to the floor now, supporting the back of the body. So this is the underside of the table, holding the table up. Now you're going to keep your neutral spine, and then just imagine that you're kind of, I call this ice skating. The torso is just sliding around on, you could visualize an ice skating rink that might be a little cold, or just a smooth piece of glass. You're just sliding around. So now we're moving in the hip socket and the shoulder socket a little bit. Maybe the arms have to bend a little bit as you go through this circle, but you're trying to keep the spine neutral and lengthened throughout. Good. And then we'll just switch and go the other way a few times. If it's a super hot day, maybe thinking of the ice skating rink is refreshing. It's kind of hot and humid here today, so it feels actually kind of nice to think of just getting a little chill. Good. And then finally, you're going to come back to center. We'll do one more cow and cat here. Big inhale. Exhale. Keep the spine rounded, feet pointed, and go back to your child's pose. And take a few breaths in your child's pose. From here, I'm going to come up to puppy. So make sure you have room in front of you. Coming up to your puppy pose, you're just going to reach those arms forward. You can even stay back in your child's pose for a little bit, like a couple breaths. Think of how far forward you can reach the arms without coming out of child. So the hips staying back as far as you can get the long body position, and then finally walk the hands a little bit farther forward. So the hips have to come up, and then find that puppy pose, your upper body in line with the arms. Pushing into the heels of the hands a little bit to reach back through the sitting bones. Take a couple breaths there. And then finally bending at the elbows, placing the forearms down. Shift forward until your shoulders are over the elbows. Step one leg straight back, other leg straight back, and then slowly lower down into your Sphinx pose. Good. Make sure you don't have a bunch of stuff right in front of you on the floor. I'm going to be moving the arms a little bit. So come to your Sphinx pose, pressing the tops of the feet down. Your kneecaps might even lift away from the floor a little bit there. Engaging the core to support the lower back. Inhale for Sphinx. Exhale, lower the face and chest a little bit, drag the fingers back, and then inhale for Cobra, neck long, shoulders rolling down and back. And exhale, release down. Straighten the arms. Inhale, Locust. Exhale, stay up, reach the arms forward, palms down, lifting, and then inhale back to Sphinx. Let's try the whole thing one more time. Take another breath into Sphinx. After an inhale, release a little bit towards the floor so you can drag those hands back beside the lower rib cage. Inhale back up to any height cobra that works for you. Doesn't have to be too high. And exhale, release. Reach the arms straight back and inhale again to locust. Exhale, stay up and reach the arms forward, palms down, and bend the elbows and bring the arms back in for your Sphinx. Good. From here, we're going to do a couple things. First, we're going to do half frog. Okay, so I'm going to use this. If you have a blanket, you can roll it up kind of this width. If you have something even bigger, it might help you more depending on what you need. So we're going to slide this right in under the center of the body. Okay, it should go down to maybe the lower belly, but not below the pubic bone. You're going to take your right knee out to the side, and it should be going directly out to the side from your hip, if possible. If you need to have it further back, you can, but try to get it up so it's directly out to the side and about 90 degrees in the knee. The foot is flexed and you're on the inner side of that foot. And we're just going to take a couple breaths here, thinking of, can the inner right knee slide any amount further out to the side? It might not go anywhere. It might go 1 millimeter. You're just trying to lengthen there. So this inner thigh here, inner groin on that side is opening up. That's called half frog because we're only doing one leg at a time. You could do full frog, but we're going to do one side and then the other. If you want to do full frog, you do the other leg at the same time right now and just hold it throughout. If you have something even thicker than this, then you're up higher and you can do full frog much more easily. I'm going to talk you through doing one side and then the other. So why would you want to do this to prepare for Utkatasana? If you know what Utkatasana looks like, your legs are not opening to the side. Again, to prepare for one pose, we might actually counter pose beforehand to get ready. So we're opening up what might need to be strengthened or contracted later. Okay, from here, we're going to come up to a cobra position in our half frog. Okay, so you're going to slide your hands back as if you're about to do cobra, and then start to peel up, but go slowly. This might keep you down closer to the floor than your regular cobra. Okay, you might feel it in your lower back area or your side joint area sooner than regular cobra. So just try that for a breath, and then re-straighten that leg. And we'll do the other side. So same way, left knee out to the side. Try to get it directly out from your hip, 90-degree bend in the knee, and then any amount, maybe sliding that knee out to the side a little bit more. And if you feel better resting your head down, you can do that, or you can stay propped up on your forearms like so. You might notice one side is quite different from the other. You might notice most people, your pelvis has to tilt up, right? Whatever side the leg is going out to, that side of the pelvis comes up off the floor a little bit. And that's, normal, unless you belong to Cirque du Soleil or something like that. Most people have to do that a little bit. So the groin area is up off the floor. You just want to think of anything you could do to maybe release it down to the floor, imagining you can just be flat on the floor right there. Let's try our cobra on this side. Slide the hands back and inhale up. Any height cobra. Cobra combined with half of a frog. That would be an interesting looking animal. Okay, straighten the legs out. We're going to do one more locust. So you can keep this underneath you. It's actually going to help you lift up in locust a little bit. And then from here, you You're gonna reach the arms forward. You're gonna stay up a couple breaths. Option, if you would like to bring the arms back alongside you, bend the knees so the feet are going up towards the ceiling and see if you can reach back for the feet. Try not to let the knees splay out to the side. Holding either the tops of the feet or the fronts of the ankles. If you can get the fronts of the ankles, you can flex your feet. Looking forward, any amount, try lifting up off the floor into Dhanurasana. And take a couple breaths and slowly release. Bring the arms forward. You can take this extra little prop out from underneath you. Swing the elbows out, fold one hand on top of the other, and rest the head down for a few breaths. When you're ready, push into the floor and slowly make your way all the way back to your child's pose. And then walking the hands forward, we're going to come to a tabletop again, close to the front of the mat. Stretch one leg straight back and the other leg straight back to come to your high plank position. And then up and back with the hips and come to your downward facing dog. We'll pedal out the feet a few times. From here, you're going to come back to your plank pose, shoulders over wrists, and drop the knees right where they are. We're going to lower down to the floor here into a position called knees, chest, chin. In Sanskrit, we call it Ashtanga Pranam. So it's going to make your body look like a little zigzag, okay? So your knees are already down. You want to put your chest and your chin down and leave everything else up off the floor. How do you do that? You're going to do a cow spine, sticking the tushy up, lower down to the floor, and we'll lift the mat there. Knees, chest, chin. Slide the hands a little bit back so that when you push yourself forward, flip the feet, you're coming back to your cobra pose. And exhale, release down. Push all the way up and back to downward facing dog. From here, you're going to pedal out the feet a few more times and then slowly start to walk the feet forward towards your hands. Knees can be bent and the feet can come wide apart to come to your ragdoll forward fold. So bend those knees and just let the arms dangle down. Let the head dangle down. Hold opposite elbows so the arms can swing freely. And shake out the head. Yes and no. Switch the arms. Continue dangling down. Finally, releasing both arms. Bend the knees quite a lot. Lift the head so it's in line with the spine. Hands on your legs. And push yourself up to stand. Great. So you're going to come to, finally, our full chair pose, Utkatasana. I'm going to move back a little bit so you can see me better. So we're going to do a few things just in Utkatasana so we can explore what the pose is. And then we'll do a flow that uses some variations and then end up with more Utkatasana stuff at the end. So as I said, we should call it chair pose in English because it looks like you're sitting in a chair that's not there. So maybe that's what can help us in our daily life. If we're going to sit in a chair that's not there, how do we do it? So for starters, you're going to do it with your legs together. So you want to bring your feet together, inner edges of the feet touching. You can always have a little space between the heels. So there's the big toe mound is touching, little space between the heels. You're going to bend the knees and sit back into chair pose. Full chair pose, we have the arms all the way up. So you can hold chair pose, and that's really great practice. And you can build a lot of leg strength and condition your body a lot just by holding chair pose. So there are many different ways to do chair pose. I'm not going to say any other way is wrong. I'm just teaching you what I think is a good all-around way to do it. We're bending at the knees and at the hips, okay? That means the upper body is doing Tadasana, okay? From Tadasana, standing straight up, going into Utkatasana, you're not doing anything to change the position of the spine. The head is staying in line with the spine. Everything's the same as in Tadasana. Upper body angles forward because you're hinging at the hip. You're bending at the knee. So we got the knee, hip bent. So that's our kind of like a zigzag. The difference between this zigzag and the knees, chest, chin zigzag that we did is we are not doing a back bend, okay? We are not bringing the chest up like so. It's angled forward. You might see sometimes people doing chair pose more like this. Again, I'm not going to say it's wrong. I just think this is better. That being said, sometimes we don't realize how much we're arching in the back. That's one of the values of doing these videos is I got to see how much I do that because I know that's my tendency and I think I've corrected it and I haven't corrected it enough. So we're actually going to do a few cow-cat in chair pose. So you're going to have your hands on your thighs here. You're just going to do a cow. Go ahead and let the lower back arch as much as you want. And then exhale, scoop, and try to round or at least flatten in the lower back. Just a little cow and cat here. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Now, it might be, I'm going to turn it even a little more sideways. It might be that due to tightness or just habit, you have a rounded lower back when you try to go into your chair pose. Maybe you're a little bit more like this. You're going to try to have a neutral spine, which means there should be a mild curve there, just a mild curve. Okay, but think of the tailbone pointing down behind you as much as possible. And how far down do you go in chair pose? You could do a super low chair pose like this, or you could do a tiny, just a little bit of a bend in chair pose like this. Neither one is wrong. You might do one day and the other another day. A general rule of thumb, you want to hold your chair pose so that the sternal notch, this little divot right in the center above your sternum, your knees and your toes are lined up vertically. Okay, so in other words, you're not pushing the knees so far forward they go in front of your feet, and you're also not bending the knees a lot and coming up like this. Okay, so the head is in line with the spine. So let's just hold our chair pose. I hope you're holding the whole time I was talking. Maybe you weren't. Let's hold it a little bit more. And then finally, straighten the legs and release down into a forward fold. Now we're going to do a couple sort of conditioning exercises to challenge us in our chair pose. So this is when you're going to grab your block or your big book and you're going to put it on the floor in front of you. You're going to step on the block with your left foot or the book, whatever it is. Hopefully it's big enough for your foot. And you're going to come up into chair pose. This foot is just going to be next to the block, but it's actually not touching. So you're really using just one leg to do your Utkatasana, and this leg is just hanging out. So pretending. It's not really doing anything. So you're just doing your Utkatasana on your one leg. It's also a balance issue. If you're doing it on a block, make sure you don't go too close to the edge because it could flip up. You just have it centered wherever you are. Let's hold it another breath or two. And if you ever want to stay in the pose and you're just having a lot of trouble, you can always bring the hands down. Good. And then straighten up and we'll switch sides. So I am lifting my head to look towards the camera. As I said, you should have your head in line with the spine. Okay, although again, you also see people doing Utkatasana like this, looking up so they can see ahead. Because some teacher has told them that's the proper way, because you need to be looking ahead. There are many, many poses where we're not looking ahead, right? Think of down dog. Do we lift the head up in down dog to see in front of us? I mean, you could, but why? We're supposed to have the head in line with the spine, unless there's some particular reason. Just doing cow pose, we lift the head up. So it's not like there's anything wrong with that. I hope you're doing your other side now. But there's no reason to do it in Utkatasana generally. So again, super great exercise for your legs. Now that you're warmed up, getting your Utkatasana going, now is when you're going to grab your chair. So you're going to have your chair behind you, like so, like you normally would have a chair, right? And we'll start off just go ahead and sitting down in the chair. Be somewhat close to the front edge of your chair. Now, depending on your chair, you can't go too close to the front edge or to flip off. Or flip this way. So you want to be as close as you can get and be safe. Okay, so we're going to bring the legs together, recreating that same feeling for Utkatasana. And now we're going to lift up into Utkatasana from the chair. So now having the arms up is going to help us because it's going to bring more of our weight forward. You want to lean forward first, and then there's going to come a point you can't lean forward anymore without starting to lift up off the chair. And then you're going to try to hold it, staying as close to the chair as possible. This might be a lower version of Utkatasana than you normally do. Go ahead and try it. I'm lucky because I can look at the video camera and see how close I am to the chair and challenge myself to get even closer without putting any weight down. And then, as long as you can handle it, try to stay up, and then with control, lower back down into your Utkatasana. Into your chair, out of your Utkatasana. Okay, so that is another exercise you can do in your, just answering my chat. Hi. Anytime you want to do a little something in your, it's not. What? I'm not able to send a chat right now. Sorry. Hi. Okay. So anyway, one more thing we're going to do before we do a little flow is going to take a block. Now, if you don't have a block for this part, don't use a book. I would say use actually like a folded blanket that's folded up to maybe around this width. So as I said before, we're going to do our Utkatasana usually with the inner legs together. You could do them with the legs apart. You could do Utkatasana with the legs apart, and sometimes it might actually be taught that way for particular reasons. We're going to try it with the legs apart, but with the block. So the block is here to teach us, are we keeping the knees moving forward when we go into our Utkatasana? So this is safe alignment. The last thing you want to do in Utkatasana is try to do it like turning the knees out or making one knee do something different from the other. Right? So this is just a tool to teach you how to do it with the legs moving parallel. All right? And we might try it later with the feet apart. But for something we're going to do at the very end of class, you want to have the knees all the way together. So that was a lot of Utkatasana. So let's just stretch out the legs a moment. Maybe hug one knee into the chest for a couple breaths. And then we'll start a little bit of a flow. And for this, we're going to be using some of what we did before. And we're also going to be using a variation of Utkatasana that is used a lot in Vinyasa flow classes, which is called skier's pose. Okay, I'm just going to adjust that a little bit. I think it'll just see better. So come to stand at the front of your mat. I'm just angled slightly off from center, so I can still be talking this way, but I'm not all the way over to the side. You're gonna stand in your Tadasana. Try to have the feet together. Again, a little space between the heels is fine. And inhale the arms all the way up, stretching nice and tall. And then exhale, stay upright and just bring the hands down and bring them behind your back. You're gonna clasp the hands together like so. If this is too intense on the shoulders, you can also do this clasp, interlacing the fingers either way. Inhale, a little bit of a back bend in the upper spine, lifting the sternum, and then exhale, keeping the legs straight or micro bending them if you need to, folding over, reaching the hands up behind you. Inhale, bend the knees and reach the knuckles back behind you. Neck is long, shoulders are rolling down the back, and this is skier's pose. We're going to try to balance on your left foot, pick up the right foot and stretch it way back behind you. You can always put your hands down on the floor or blocks if you need for balance. We're just going to try that. And then place that back foot all the way down. We're going to come to a warrior one position in the legs. So there's a little space between the feet side to side, and the back foot is angling out to the side, still clasping those hands. Inhale, come up, again, a little back bend in the upper spine, and then exhale, fold forward. Trying to fold the left shoulder inside that left knee. And then finally, you're going to inhale, back up again, swivel onto the ball of the back foot. Exhale, turn to your left, twisted lunge. I'm going to stay here for a couple breaths, pushing through that back heel, reaching the hands away from each other. And see how this front leg is kind of cutting you off from the twist. You can't go too far because this leg has to still track forward. Now, any amount, you can tilt the upper body forward, and so you can get that right arm anywhere along the back side of the right arm, outside the left knee. The left hand can just come to the sacrum. You're just coming into a little bit of a twist here, pressing back with the right arm, pressing the knee into the arm. Taking a couple breaths there. Finally releasing out of your twist, hands on the floor, step the left foot back to downward facing dog. And take a couple breaths in your down dog. Inhale forward to plank. We're going to do our knees, chest, chin again. So you can plant the knees first, and then a little cow spine, lowering knees, chest, chin. Scoot yourself forward so you're flat on your belly, and inhale up, cobra. Exhale, release. Push up and back to child's pose. Couple breaths in your child's pose. All right. I'm saying hi to everybody verbally. I don't know why. I could do my chat earlier and now it's not doing it. So from your child's pose, you're going to come up and back to plank and push back to downward facing dog once again. I'm going to do a little angle to the other side for this one. Bend both knees and walk the feet forward. Inhale, reach forward, half forward fold, and exhale, fold again. Bend both knees, hands on your legs, and push yourself up to stand. Tadasana, inhale, arms out and up, and exhale, fold forward once again. Oh, sorry. Bend your knees and push yourself back up. I was gonna do skier's pose, right? Inhale, arms up. Stay standing upright as you exhale the hands behind your back. Interlace those fingers, same way you did on the other side. And inhale, little back bend in the upper chest. Exhale, fold forward, bringing the hands up behind you. Now, bend the knees, inhale to your skier's pose. Put your weight into the left foot, your right foot, so you can step your left foot all the way back into a long lunge position. Plant that foot down, 45 degree angle off to the side, or your one legs. Inhale, again, back bend in the upper spine, and exhale, fold forward inside that front knee. Take a breath. Next, inhale, bring the arms back up, swivel onto the ball of the back foot, and exhale, turn into your twisted lunge towards your right side. I'm going to stay here a couple breaths again, pushing through that back heel to straighten this leg any amount. And then angle the upper body forward. Whoop. Some little beastie. Sorry. I'm in the country, so twigs, insects, spiders, leaves, everything. So from here, we're going to angle the upper body forward so you can get this front arm outside the front knee. It could be anywhere. It could be the back of the wrist, anywhere along here. Other hand to the sacrum, and just work on twisting around any amount. Finally, release your hands, come out of your twist, and step the front foot back to downward facing dog again. And take a couple breaths, stretching out in your down dog. And then on an inhalation, come forward to plank. One last time, we'll try our knees, chest, chin. Now, I have been teaching it, move these away, to lower the knees first. It's a little bit easier that way. You could do it lowering everything to the floor at the same time. So if you want to try it that way, you can, or you can put the knees down first. Either way, you're going to remember a little bit of a cow spine. So the tushy stays up, and you lower down, knees, chest, chin. And then scoot yourself forward, come up to cobra, exhale, all the way up and back to child's pose once again. Take a couple breaths in child's pose. And then we're going to come up to stand to do one more pose. Well, it's two sides in Utkatasana. So just come up to stand. And we're going to do a twist in Utkatasana. So this is one of the really great values of Utkatasana, I believe, is that it teaches us what we're doing when we do a twist. As much as, more than a lot of poses that we do twists in. Because when you think about it, if you come into your Utkatasana, for this you want to have the legs together. That being said, some people have legs that are shaped in such a way they can't really bring the legs together. So if you find that's true for you, you can always take a little padding, your blanket, or block might be too much, maybe it's okay. So you can have something to squeeze the legs into if there's a space between the legs, because of the shape or whatever. Okay, so as an aside. Either way, you're going to be keeping the knees aligned this way, okay? In other words, one knee is not in front of the other. Okay, they're side by side this way. What is that dance? The Charleston, right? We're going to keep the knees side by side. Why is this important for twists? We want to twist above the pelvis. The pelvis is going to stay anchored down. Maybe it's better if I do it sideways. You're gonna be locked and loaded here, lower body stays the same, and you're gonna be doing your twist. Maybe think of about the navel up. So the spine is doing the twisting. So what happens when we try to do a twist, we're thinking so much, I want to do that deep twist because it's really good. It's so good for me. Yes, it is, but if you turn the pelvis in Utkatasana to get more into your twist, the knees will come apart. So I hope you can see that. My knees are like out of whack. This one's way in front. From the other side, this knee can come way in front. All that means is, it's not the end of the world. It just means I'm doing the twist with my whole body. I'm just turning my body to the side. Okay? So why bother doing something if you're not getting out of it the maximum benefit? If you could just stand up and walk through a revolving door. Another yoga teacher of mine says that. You could just walk through a revolving door if that's what you want to do. So we're going to try not to go through a revolving door. We're going to come to your Utkatasana. I'm going to do it facing this way, yeah. So you're going to twist to your left side first. So you're going to come into Utkatasana. We're going to do it a little bit differently. Very often we do it with prayer hands. We're going to do it fruit ninja style. You're going to bring your arms straight in front of you, palms together, and you're just going to bring the hands down. So we're scrunching our Utkatasana a little bit. You might have started up here, coming down a little bit. But don't worry about how far down you go at first. You might stay here, or you might try to slide down to the elbows outside the knee. You don't have to though, you could always stay way up here. Totally fine. As long as you look down at your knees and you see they're staying together. And then this hand is going to stay down. Other hand goes up into your nice big twist. I forgot to say, you can have a block next to you here. And maybe this hand can come down to the block. You're going to stay working your twist. Top hand can come to your sacrum. You could also try to step back with your right foot into a lunge, just to challenge yourself in terms of balance. So it would look something like this. And it's very similar to where we were before, only maybe a little bit lower down now. If you prefer, you could always go back to your prayer hands like so. Just trying to hold your twist another couple breaths, lengthening from the top of the head through your back heel. Or if you're staying in Utkatasana and not stepping back, think of lengthening from the top of the head to the tailbone. Nice long spine. And then inhale, release the twist and stand up and take a couple breaths. So you're gonna maybe use a block and put it on the other side now. So I prefer not doing the prayer hands at first. You can always do it that way if it's okay with you. I like having the long arms because it gives you a little more space to pick where you're gonna get that leverage. So now we're gonna go into our Utkatasana again. Scrunching down. Remember, when you scrunch down, it's the hips that are scrunching. The knees are not going forward of the toes. They're staying together, like they're magnetized together, right? Arms out in front. And just fruit ninja over to your right side. If this arm can slide down any amount more, you go ahead and let it slide down. And open up into your twist to this side. Same way, top arm can stay up, can rest on the sacrum. If you have a firm connection here between your left arm and your right knee, you could try stepping back the left leg, lengthening from the top of the head to the back heel, or if you're still in Utkatasana, from the top of the head to the tailbone. Maybe one side feels quite different from the other. Interesting to note that. And then once you're done, you come out of your twist, put your hands down, Bring both legs back, and you can take another moment or two in child's pose. And now go ahead and walk the hands back until you come up to sit, and then shift over to one side so you can stretch those legs straight out in front of you at last. So we did so much with the knees bent, which is great for conditioning the legs. We're going to do a couple stretches now, keeping the legs straight, just for a change of pace. So let's start with Dandasana, pushing down into the floor either side of your hips, sitting up nice and tall. You can also sit on something here if you need to, a blanket. For example, inhale the arms up, and then exhale, fold forward, reaching for your feet, calves, ankles. If you have a strap, you can loop it around your feet if you would like. As always, trying to keep the spine as long and straight as possible. Head in line with the spine. Folding forward. And slowly release and come all the way up. And then go ahead and swing around to lie on your back. And if you actually grab that strap, if you have that strap, look, my little ant friend is coming back this way. Doesn't know where to go. Go ahead and grab that strap. And we're going to lie in the back and stretch the legs a little bit more. Yeah, this one will be up to you. If you have the strap, actually I don't want it like this. It doesn't need to be in a loop. As I said, we can keep the legs straight throughout. If you'd like to do happy baby, you can go ahead and bend the knees and come to a happy baby. Just go ahead and use the strap if you have it for happy baby for a moment. But what I had in mind is with the straight legs and the strap, you can do a nice wide V straddle stretch, holding onto the strap. If you don't have a strap, you could just do this with the legs apart, not holding on to anything. Totally doable. It's a little bit more restful to do it with the strap because the strap is kind of holding the legs in place. Or you can just gently pulse or pull with the hands. Shouldn't try not to bounce when you stretch. No. Just want to check and see if you can still see me. Taking a couple more breaths there. Now, if you have those legs up in the strap or not, just take a couple moments trying any amount to turn the toes down towards the floor. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to do it without the strap so you can see. So normally, if we just come up, the soles of the feet are going up towards the ceiling and then out to the sides. Any amount, you can try to turn the legs out. So the toes are going down towards the floor, the heels are going up. Depending on how that feels for you, you might want to hold the outside of the legs for support, or you might say, I can go a little bit more, maybe I can gently push on the inside of the thigh. And continuing to roll the toes down towards the floor. And then keep the legs there. If you have the strap, still continue holding like so. And then wherever you are, back off a little bit. So you don't have to turn the toes down anymore, just bring your feet back to sort of their original position. And this part is easier, it's more It's only doable if you don't have the strap in your hand. So you can drop the strap, you can bring the legs more together if you need to. You can reach the arms back overhead. Again, use our sort of fruit ninja style arms. If you don't know the game Fruit Ninja, I'm sorry, I'm not referring to it so much. It's just a game where you slice fruit like this. So from here, we're just going to come up, trying to bring those fingers to point straight ahead between the legs. And then lower back down. Let's do 2 more like that. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, right between the legs, straight ahead. And inhale back. Last time, exhale, curl it. Inhale back, and finally, release the feet down. Take a couple breaths. From here, we're going to come to a bridge pose and try to have a block or folded blanket handy. From our bridge pose, just come up to one regular bridge. Palms down, feet parallel, sort of close it in towards you, and then just lift up into your bridge. No big deal. We didn't do a lot of back bending, so we're not going to do too much more now. We're going to do a supported bridge instead. So you're going to take that block and slide it in under the sacrum and rest down on it. If you have a thick folded blanket, that could work as well. Just make sure it's centered and it's not under your lower back. It's under the sacrum. From here, as usual, you can stay with the knees bent, or especially after a lot of Utkatasana, it might feel extra nice to straighten the legs. As long as it feels okay in your lower back, try straightening one leg, pushing the foot away so the leg is a little bit active, and then push the other foot away. And then just take a couple breaths. Letting the front of the body finally open up after all that zigzag shape. Depending on you and how it feels, you might even want to turn the block up. For instance, to this height, if you have a yoga block, or stack more props of whatever you have underneath. If you do that, just go slowly into straightening the legs again, because it might feel quite different. You can always rebend the knees if it feels uncomfortable in the lower back or any of this else. But if you can handle it, it gives you even more release in the hip flexors and the quads, as well as the abdomen. And then slowly walk the feet back in. Lift up so you can take that block out from underneath you. Bring the feet wide apart. And just let the knees windshield wiper side to side a few times. You can stay on one side for a few breaths, or just go with the breath a little more quickly. And then finally, bringing the knees back to center. Take your time if you need a little more. If you want to go to a couple more times either side, or just to even it out, take your time. Otherwise, we're going to move towards our Shavasana now. Just reaching the legs straight out on the floor. And finally, letting the legs relax so the feet roll open. Bring the arms down alongside you. They can be angled away from the sides a little bit. Turning the palms up. And start with your centering breath a few times. So inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. Nice and softly. As you go through your centering breath, you might find that you thought you relaxed your legs all the way, but you didn't. And you can re-emphasize that relaxation. You can stay lying down. I'm just going to sit up to finish class, talking towards the camera. Otherwise, you're going to just take a couple more centering breaths and then go back to breathing in and out through the nose, keeping the breath soft and natural, and letting the floor hold you up. And checking through the body. Is there any other holding or tension that you could possibly release right now? And remember, Shavasana, this pose that we're in right now, is one of our key poses to practice because it teaches us how to lie down well and sleep well, hopefully. And Utkatasana, as I mentioned before, has a lot to teach us as well in terms of our daily lives. It's tongue-in-cheek to call it, chair pose because you're sitting in a chair that's not there. But there is a little truth or a little more significance to that meaning, because it reminds us of how something in its absence makes itself more felt, or you come to appreciate the presence of something when you realize it's absent all of a sudden. Utkatasana, interestingly, does not translate as chair pose. We call it chair pose because of how it looks. It translates as fierce, wild, or difficult, the beginning of the name. So I like to call it fierce pose. And I named class today Fierce Flow, even though that sounds like a very different kind of class with tons of chaturangas and stuff. But there's this fierceness that maybe you felt or maybe came through a little bit in the practice. Not so much in terms of being like macho or beating ourselves up with like CrossFit workouts or whatever, but the fierceness and the persistence that it takes to stay in chair pose, I think has a lot to teach us, and maybe can help us get through a time when we have feelings of absence, when we're missing a lot of things, as a lot of people are these days. So just remember, if you're able to stick it out in chair pose, you can stick it out through a lot, even though you might be missing seeing people, being able to do what you normally would be doing now. We can do this. So I hope that helped maybe give you something to remember about Utkatasana. I'm going to let the video go a few more moments so you can relax in your Shavasana, and then I'll just say a couple more words towards the end of the video before I end the live stream. So for now, just take a few more moments in your Shavasana. Since you did your fierceness in your practice already, now it's time to let that go and find the softness and the release in Shavasana. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for class today. I really enjoyed it. Please leave me any comments. If you would like to subscribe on YouTube, please do so. If there are any poses or ideas that you want to explore in future classes, you can always leave those in the comments and I will try to accommodate them. I'm trying to do something different every week. So I hope you're enjoying the classes and everything's saved from previous weeks. So you can always go back and look at anything again. And if you can stay in Shavasana even longer, please do so. Namaste. Thank you again. I'll see you next time.